Welcome to the On a Mission Mojo podcast, where I have the pleasure of interviewing impact-driven founders, entrepreneurs, authors, and business experts who are actively working to create a positive difference in our world. I'm your host, Lori Young, a branding specialist, certified master marketer, and a passionate advocate for brands that possess heart, soul, and an unwavering commitment to drive change for humanity. It takes grit, a visionary mindset, and an abundance of mojo to navigate this journey. And the stories I share will undoubtedly ignite your passion. If you're seeking an infusion of inspiration, motivation, and valuable insights to amplify your impact, let's dive right in. Welcome to episode 19 of On a Mission Mojo podcast. If you are a travel nut or you're wanting to introduce your children maybe to the world of travel, you are going to love our next guest. Erica Forrest is a travel education specialist and best-selling author who helps curious people learn more through their trips. As the founder of Trip Scholars, she blends her passion for travel with over 30 years of experience in education and her training as an internationally certified travel coach and advisor. Erica has been a local NPR guest and published on over 60 travel sites. She has been featured in Wander Magazine, BuzzFeed, Apartment Therapy, and Best Life. So, welcome, Erica, to the show. I am especially and personally excited about your mission because I love to travel and I have so many places on my bucket list to travel to. Maybe you've been to some of these places, maybe you haven't, but let's just dive in and just share with our listeners like a little bit about your mission and like how you got started like doing what you're doing.
Thanks, Lori. I first just want to let you know how much I appreciate getting to join you today for this conversation. I've been enjoying your podcast and I love what you're doing here. So I'm excited to talk about my mission. And I am on a mission to help people learn more about the world and themselves through travel.
Okay.
The reason I'm on this mission is because it allows us to better appreciate and understand other people that we're sharing this amazing planet with. So that's my mission.
Okay, I love it. So is there like anything, like any kind of like catalyst that like got you started with doing this? Like obviously you have a love of travel. I'm just guessing, but like anything that just like, I don't know, just share a little about your story, like how you got here.
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to. I think one of the things was really realizing, and so I'll ask you to reflect on this too, that when you think about some of the most impactful things that you've learned in your life, many of them happened while you were traveling, right? Probably things you've understood about yourself and the world. We figure them out while we're traveling. And so that realization, so I have been in education for a long time.
Okay.
I was a high school science teacher and director of Hawaii Montessori schools on the Big Island. And we eventually ended up homeschooling and finally something called unschooling, which is very child-directed learning. And so I've been fascinated with learning all along. And I really started realizing how profound the real life experiences through travel can be. And that they can be even more profound when we understand something about what we're seeing. So as our family moved towards unschooling and a lot of travel schooling, we would spend a lot of time before and after trips understanding and learning more about the places that we were going. And we did it really pretty naturally and organically. If a particular kid liked cooking, can we make some dishes related to it or related to it? So we were doing all of those things and having these really amazing travel experiences. At the same time, I was thinking, this is really time consuming, right? It was a huge privilege for me as a homeschool parent to have the time and resources and the background in education to be able to help elicit from our kids what they were interested in and what good resources would be, and then also to go and find different things and find interesting ways to bring it all to life. And I kept thinking, wouldn't it be great if there was a place you could go that was just focused on making trips more meaningful, learning more through travel. And while we were, having this experience, our kids are 10 years apart. And our oldest had graduated from high school. We were watching friends moving into becoming empty nesters and deciding, my husband and I deciding, what do we want to do with this next chapter? And we love travel so much. And so we decided, he's been a sailor all along. He's been wanting to live on a boat all along. And I actually had a phobia of boats. So I did not, but I've moved through a lot of that. And we finally decided we want to live nomadically and explore the world by sailboat.
Wow.
And so that is our empty nester plan.
But you haven't started that plan yet?
We're moving through it. My husband became a yacht broker, so he's learned a lot more about sailing than he ever knew before. He and I are slowly starting to downsize, and I'm becoming a better sailor myself. So yeah, we are moving in that direction. But right now, we're still raising our family here. And I was trying to think, I love teaching. I love coaching. How can I do something nomadically? This was before COVID, when obviously now we can do a lot more digitally, and realized I could serve people by helping others who want to learn more through travel and have more meaningful travel experiences. So that's how I launched Trip Scholars.
I love it. And so I'm curious, how do you actually work with people? What are you kind of teaching them or going through with them to give them the benefits that you obviously have?
That's a fantastic question, and a natural one to ask, because there aren't a lot of people doing this. So travel coaching is actually a growing service that more and more people are offering. I think, as far as I know, I'm the only travel education coach. There might be other folks out there doing something similar. So I do it a number of ways. I have had the opportunity to serve a lot of different kinds of people over the years, and it was really important to me that I have a lot of free resources. So I have a pretty robust website at Trip Scholars, where I have a lot of different unique things people can do before, during, and after a trip, so that they can learn more. And then I also offer workshops. So I offer workshops to small groups, libraries, and Friends of the State Park, and I've got one coming up for a genealogical society here pretty soon. So I love facilitating group learning. People learn so much from each other. It's so exciting to build on. I mean, people love to talk about travel. It's such an exciting, interesting part of many of our lives.
Yes.
So the workshops are super fun. And then I also do one-on-one travel coaching, which is such a gift to get to work one-on-one with people who are wanting to travel more deeply, or travel in a different way, like solo travel, or having a family travel experience that isn't quite as stressful, or is more in alignment with what the family really loves to do. So I enjoy doing all of those things.
Now, do you actually partner with travel agents or something that helps guide? Let's say, let's just say my spouse and I want to go to Dubai, right? So originally, it's funny because originally, my spouse was like, no way, we are not going to Dubai. They do not like people like us. We're a gay couple, interracial gay couple. And I was just kind of I don't know, I still kind of look at it. And then we had another gay couple, friends of ours, that went to Dubai and said, oh my God, it was amazing. They had the best time ever. And so now she's kind of okay, maybe we'll go to Dubai. But I know there's a lot of things that you have to be aware of, before you go to Dubai or any other country for that matter. Like, do
Yes.
you work with travel agents in like helping select the right kind of package for people, or do you just kind of educate them on what Dubai is like? How do you, I just am
Yeah,
curious how you
those are
work.
such great questions. And I am sorry that we're still in a world where you have to be concerned about those things. And
Yeah.
actually, when I work with people in any capacity, really, we do talk about those safety issues. And we are very lucky that right now there's a lot of resources available for people who are in marginalized communities or people who are um, dealing with either physical or mental health challenges
Mm-hmm.
that might feel like travel isn't is going to be as accessible for them. There
Mm-hmm.
are so many resources available now that almost all of us can find a way to travel safely and in a meaningful way. So just on that note, but and I love that you are wanting to go and do that and try to figure out how can we have this wonderful experience and still be safe in a culture that you might not be safe in.
Mm-hmm.
So what I do, I'm actually also a certified travel agent.
Okay. Okay.
I don't think of that as the main thing that I do. I got my certification so I could continue serving more as a coach and as a consultant.
Mm-hmm.
So I can book things for people. I
Mm-hmm.
can also sometimes direct people to clients to people who are more knowledgeable or have more expertise in a certain area or location.
Got
Uh,
it.
but what I do is a lot of helping people spend a lot of time thinking about what is it that I really want to have out of this travel experience.
Mm-hmm.
So that a lot of us get our inspiration for travel maybe from social media or a show we watched or something like that, and those can be great places to find our inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
But there's this travel opens up all of these opportunities for a lot of self-reflection and deeper learning. And so I've actually created a program called the Learn Through Travel program.
Okay.
And LEARN is an acronym, and it is all about things we can do before, during, and after a trip so that we can have it be more meaningful. And the L is for listen, and that is really listening to ourselves before we go on a trip, figuring out what our intentions are, why we
Mm-hmm.
want to take this trip. The E is for educate ourselves. So, how can we learn more about where we want to go? And I do all of this work with folks, helping them find ways to easily integrate learning into their busy lifestyle and
Mm-hmm.
activities that are fun and engaging. A is advancing our travel skills. So, everything from safety to packing to budgeting to planning a itinerary that matches up well with you or your travel companions,
Mm-hmm.
values and interests.
Right.
And N is for nourish yourself. So once we're traveling, how can we be fully present? How can we stay connected to ourselves and to the people that we're traveling with or the people that we meet? And finally, N is for nourish, and that's nourishing our travel dreams. A lot of times we come home and we're kind of back at the grind. How can we integrate how we've changed and who we've grown into back into our lives? And also, if we really love traveling, how can we nourish those travel dreams, long-term travel dreams? Some people are interested in moving overseas or traveling higher percentage of the time, and so supporting people in making those long-term strategies.
Okay. It's funny because you do take such a deep approach to travel, which is really interesting to me because I'm not so sure that I've ever like looked at travel in that way, like in a really deep way. For me, it's like, oh, that place looks beautiful. I want to go see, the Amalfi Coast, or oh, I want to
Uh-huh.
go on a safari. So let's go to
Yes.
South Africa. Oh, I want to, oh, Dubai looks so gorgeous. I want to go there. Like if someone's wanting to take a deeper approach to travel, like and really create a more of a learning experience, like
Mhm.
what do you suggest like that they look at or evaluate like within themselves?
Yeah, that's another great question. So I really do encourage people to spend some time really thinking about what do I want out of this experience. And so, for example, if you are traveling with your partner, sometimes we're traveling for adventure, for relaxation, for fun. Those are all great reasons to travel. You're probably going to pick a different itinerary and make some different choices than if you are moving through grief or healing, or you're really wanting to deepen the connection with that person. And once we know what we want out of a situation, like if you're a solo traveler and you are really wanting to see, who am I in relation to the world without my daily responsibilities, without the things, my daily routine, what do I really like to do? Then you might say, I want to have plenty of free time. I don't want to have a super packed itinerary because I want to yet. Do I feel like laying in bed for a little bit longer? Do I want to go watch a movie in this little French theater? Whatever it is, giving yourself space. Or if you're traveling to connect with your partner, really thinking about that and then leaning into that as you make all your other choices for the trip. And also when challenges happen, because, that's the super guaranteed part about travel. It's not going to go as expected. And if you know that you're traveling to connect with your partner, then when the luggage gets lost or you're delayed in the airport, you can kind of lean into each other instead of, or what might be a more normal or automatic reaction, to be frustrated and angry. I'm taking this trip to connect. So let's connect through the challenges too.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. We just got back from Mexico. And
nice.
So, we live in Southern California, and I've been to Mexico several times, but we live in Southern California, and we applied for Sentry and Global Entry so that we could drive into Mexico, right? And so we're celebrating like our 10 years from our first date, and it's this is going to be an amazing experience. We're going to wine country in Mexico, and we're driving, right? My spouse did a little bit of research, making sure our car was registered with Sentry and all these things. The experience did not turn out the way that we thought it was going to. It just, I don't know, the roads were super, super bad. It was tearing up our car. And then when we couldn't find where we were going because we were driving. And then when we're leaving to get across the border, we end up getting extorted.
Oh my.
Yeah. And so here we are just sitting in the car, and we're both kind of in this state of panic, because they're speaking Spanish to us and we don't understand Spanish. And so they're translating it for us on the phone and, saying, oh, we're going to take your car overnight. It's going to cost $650. And we're like, what? We don't have $650 with us. Right. And he's just too bad, too bad. It just instilling that fear, and it's okay, we got to pull together on this. We've got to come together, and how are we going to get ourselves out of this
situation.
Right. And we ended up just pulling all of the cash that we had on us. Thankfully, it was only $63, and basically just gave him all the cash and said, this is all we have. This is it, and he took all of our money and said, okay, fine, just go. And we were like, okay.
Yeah.
Can we please get back to the United States? It was very stressful. But we pulled together instead of apart, in that situation. So
yeah, exactly. Well, I'm sorry you guys went through that. And there's always, risks with travel. I mean, there's risks getting out of bed, but travel really highlights them more. And so it is also an opportunity to go through something challenging like that with your partner. Now you see how well you guys supported each other, and how it sounds like you guys navigated a challenging situation.
Right. But we also, I think we both realized that maybe we weren't as educated as we needed to be about this situation. because once it happened to us, then we started going online and reading about all these stories of this has happened to others. People, I mean, we got away easy. It's happened for thousands of dollars for other people. People like shackled to metal benches. It's just like, okay, we did not expect and know this.
Yeah, one of the things when especially when I'm working one-on-one with people, we have a section that we work through on the advancing, back to the learn, advancing your travel skills. And we usually spend a whole session on both health and safety issues. Every person I work with is different.
Right.
But for a lot of us, those are two primary concerns. And one of the things that I encourage people to do is take, a half an hour and look up any scams or risky situations that are common in your destination.
Right.
Not to terrify yourself and freak yourself out or anything like that. But if you know that it is common when you are at this particular site for somebody to come up in a costume or something, or give you a flower and take your picture or give you a little gift and then insist that you pay them, those are common scams at tourist sites, then in advance that might happen, and how you could come up with a plan about how you would handle it.
How to get out of it.
Exactly. Same thing with safety, thinking through about how you're going to keep all of your gear safe and your money safe. And then maybe you decide, okay, I think what I'm going to do is send a copy of all of my important documents that I'm traveling with and my credit cards. I'll email it to myself, and I'll also email it to a loved one back at home, so that if those things get stolen, I have access. Maybe I'll keep an extra credit card and an extra form of ID back in the safe at my hotel or my locker at the hostel or whatever. So we do go through a whole list of both health issues and also safety issues, and also talking about how to navigate different situations if somebody has particular health or mental health issues. Obviously, with that, I always encourage people to work with their medical professionals too.
Sure.
But sometimes we don't think about those things in advance. And there's so many solutions that are available that if we just take the time before we go. So I'm really sorry that happened to you guys, and I'm glad that you got out of it. Yeah, it is what it is.
Right.
And it also is eye-opening. What?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So tell me about like some of like amazing places that people can go for just really cool like adventures, or just really like to deepen learning, like, and I'm sure it's different for everyone. But like, what are some of your favorite places?
Yeah, so you're nice to ask me, because usually I am asking other people about what excites them about life and what have some of their past experiences been that have been so great, as we try to help them determine their ideal travel destinations. I love a lot of things, and so I've had some extraordinary travel experiences. One of my favorite ones was our family was able to go and see a lot of the even more than that, further back, a lot of the artwork in the caves in the Dordogne in France. And that is something, I've always been interested in. The year before, my husband had given me a book by a woman who studies that. And I loved it so much that when we were planning our trip, she gives tours. So we hired her for the day. And she brought us to all of these different caves. It's in the same region as Lascaux, and where Cro-Magnon Man was named and found. And she brought us, so we went to, some of the big ones with a lot of other people, but a very special experience was she brought us to this one cave, Bernafal, and it's on private land. And so, we parked our car and hiked through the woods with our family with her. And we got to the front and put on all of our warmer clothes. She opens the door and has this big light, and we go inside, and she's showing us the inside of the cave, and we're getting to see all of this artwork, just the six of us with her, thinking about all those people, who had made that artwork over 11,000 years ago. And
Right.
what it must have been like for them as a family to be in there. And then finally, she turns the light and it shines on a face. So somebody had made a portrait, whether it's a self-portrait or a portrait of someone else, all those thousands of years ago.
Wow.
And we got to be present with each other. And it was just such a profound experience, especially because we had been learning about it for so long, and early human beings. And then to get to see that in such an intimate setting, that was really a pretty extraordinary thing.
That's
I think
cool.
another one of my favorites, we used to live in Hawaii, so we got to spend a lot of time with the volcanoes, and getting to hike out on the still warm lava and watch the steam come up out of the ocean, and basically watch, the physical part of the earth be born.
Right.
Just amazing. So many amazing experiences traveling. They're just wonderful. Do you have a couple? I'd love to hear yours.
Well, let's see. We got married in Bora Bora.
Lovely.
And that was such a cool experience. We actually decided to have a Polynesian wedding.
Oh.
And it was just a super cool cultural experience to be married in a very different way than, Americans do it. Like the way they did it, like you basically in their tradition, you arrive by sea. And so they take you like out in a boat, and then you come into the beach and arrive by sea. They like throw like flowers like all over you as you're walking down. I mean, we went through the whole thing. They had their whole little thing. They had, I can't even remember the names of it, but like there's like a certain kind of leaves that they wrap on your wrist. They wrap you in like a pareo to kind of signify you are now one. That was a super, super cool experience. We loved Bora Bora, did a lot of fun things there, ATVs, and went out on the ocean with I'd swam with the stingrays, just lots of different things.
So you were having all these beautiful nature experiences and cultural experiences.
Yes.
In one of probably the most meaningful times of your whole life, getting married.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think another one of our trips that we really, really loved, we took last year, we went to Canada and to Eastern Canada. So we went to Toronto, then to Quebec City, and then to Montreal. And that was a really fun experience too, especially seeing like the 3 different cities and how they were so different from one another. Like I really loved Quebec City. It was, I don't know, just so quaint and just colorful. It was just a fun little city to walk around in. Toronto was kind of like that big city feel, kind of reminds me of like Chicago, like a Canadian Chicago, right?
Okay.
And then Montreal was, a lot of people talked about how they loved Montreal. That was not our favorite place. We probably liked Toronto and Quebec City better, but we enjoyed just trying the different foods. Like that's one of the things that we like to do is we like to go to a different area and say, okay, what's the food of this area that is really popular? And we try the different food, and then it's like, this is great, or we don't really like this too much.
But you get out there and you try new things.
Yes, we definitely try new things. I would say we are more adventure travelers. We like different adventures. We were the kind of traveler that we're not going to go back to the same place twice. We want something new and different to see and do. We like to try the different foods. And one of the things like that my spouse really, really loves, and she's more of a talker and a social person than I am. I'm more introverted.
That's
but she loves.
I wouldn't have guessed that with you.
Yeah, I know. I'm an outgoing introvert. What can I say? She loves to meet the locals. And just talk to them and have a conversation, have dinner with them, would just meet them sitting at a bar or whatever, and just learn about their culture, learn about their country by
I love
talking
it.
to people who live in it.
I
She
love
could
it.
do that all day long, all
Me
day
too.
long. And I want to go do things. Yeah, I'm going to go do things. Like I want to experience like new things all the time.
Isn't it
So,
fascinating that when we travel, we get this lens into ourselves and whoever we're traveling with,
mhm.
and we get to see ourselves in some ways a bit more clearly. Like you were
Yes.
really articulating there what it is you like and what you don't like,
Hmm.
and sometimes in our day to day life that can get a little muddled. And then how beautiful that you guys find your rhythm in that. Yeah, we've been married 30 years. We do like different parts of traveling.
Hmm.
So we sometimes travel solo too. And it is just a fascinating thing to see.
Yeah, because, everyone travels differently and
Mhm.
everyone wants something different out of their travel experience. And if you're as a partnership, if you don't travel the same and want the same things out of the travel experience, it can be a little challenging. What do you usually recommend for maybe a married couple or, a partnership
Yeah,
when
I
they
actually
aren't
see
the
this.
same?
Yeah, and I see it even more because I think at this stage, if you've been in a partnership for a long time, we've been learning how to do this dance. Where it comes up a lot, especially, is families, especially with
Yes.
teens and older kids,
Hmm.
or people who are doing multi-generational travel.
Yes.
Um, so a big thing that I lean into in those situations is because then you often have people who don't even want to go on the family trip.
Right.
Um, so there's a variety of approaches. One of them would be doing a couple trip and then doing some solo travel and then doing the family trip. But another one is just really honoring the differences that we're talking about. That people do want different things out of those experiences, and so maybe deciding, we're going to do two separate things this afternoon, and then
Hmm.
meet back up for dinner.
Okay.
In multi-generational trips, I highly recommend versions of that because you can have these. It's like in your marriage. If you go out and have these different experiences and come back and share them, you're bringing all this oxygen, all this fresh air into the relationship. And then there's so much more to talk about and bounce off of with each other.
Hmm.
So having space can be a great thing. And then also, I work a lot with people on how do you get folks engaged with the trip and buy-in with the trip. And so we do a lot about, you were mentioning that you guys like food.
Hmm.
So if I was working with someone who said that a family member really liked food, but they weren't that interested in the trip, we would probably dive into how can we bring some cooking activities or go to a local market and get these ingredients, watch some cooking shows, find some food tours, let them pick part of how the trip is going to go. Ask them to help pick the restaurants, or
Hmm.
can you find a food tour? And even 12-year-olds can participate in
Sure.
all of that. An 8-year-old could do a big part of that, and then
Hmm.
they care, and then they want to do it.
Right.
Whereas maybe you are more interested in going out hiking or kayaking or something like that. And so
Hmm.
just blending those different things into the trip, saying everybody doesn't have to participate in every part of what we're doing, but there will be some things that we're all going to do. But it's
Right.
okay maybe that, if you really don't want to be at the museum, if you want to read a book on your phone while the rest
Right.
of us are looking at exhibits, just deciding how much of it, it's, again, coming back to those initial intentions. Are we doing this for connection? Are we doing this for an educational trip? Are we doing it for healing? What are we doing this trip for? And
Right.
if it's for connection, does it matter if your child doesn't go, see all of the exhibits in the museum, or if they sit in the lobby while you go and enjoy it,
Hmm.
and come back at dinner and talk about how great it was, and then maybe they're like, maybe tomorrow I will go.
Right. Yes.
Sounds kind of cool.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. There's
Yeah.
so much that, I've done family trips and They're not my favorite, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You do have to learn how to navigate, and you do have to learn to, like you said, let go and say, okay, you don't have to do that if you don't want to. I'm always this person's like, we're a family, we have to be together on vacation. And it's like, not everyone has those feelings. It's just a mom thing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is the ideal. It is what, we all want it to be happy and lovely all the time, but that isn't how life works. And that we are all individuals,
Yes.
even small children. And, back to the family trips, especially for teenagers, they're at a time in their life when they naturally are stepping into more autonomy and a little bit of separation and spending more time with friends. And then you're on a family trip where, you're all in the car together, and then you're all in the hotel room together, and you're all in this. And so they don't have very much control.
Yes.
So if you can recognize, when we can recognize that as parents and figure out, how can I give them some control over this situation? And maybe it means, man, you are not going to, walk around this amazing site, but we're going to keep the peace, and you're going to hear about how great it was. And maybe tomorrow you'll be excited to join us.
Right. Cool. So let's talk a little bit just about like your mission as a business, right? What are some of the challenges that you've had to face in trying to like grow your business and your mission?
Well, I've had plenty of them, as I'm sure any business owner has. I think my biggest ones are really that I've had a lot of things in my personal life that were deserved more of my time and attention. So when I started my business, it was the same year both my parents got very sick. My mom died. My dad died the next year.
Oh, wow.
They were wonderful parents. And so it was a really horrible process. On a much, much happier note, one of our children transitioned from male to female, and now our daughter is absolutely thriving.
Okay.
And so that, has a good, happy ending, but it was obviously something we wanted to give a lot of our love and attention to.
Sure.
And then our youngest ended up with a very rare medical condition, and they were bedbound for about 2 years.
Oh my gosh.
It was horrific. It was just awful. And they finally have had 2 surgeries. They're doing much, much better.
Okay.
And we were able to go and do some traveling in Europe this summer, which was extraordinary. But all of those things really put Trip Scholars in the back seat.
Sure.
And so, I would say to fellow business owners, grant yourself grace. There are, things more important than our business. And there will be time to do it in the future. I will also say, though, that I got a lot of comfort and solace out of having my business to focus on when, I was waiting in between medical appointments or something like that. What more beautiful thing to think about than travel and people growing and learning through travel.
Right. Yeah. So, it's kind of like gives you the ability to kind of go into an alternate world, right?
Yeah,
it's kind of like watching a movie or, reading a good fiction book. It's just like, for a while, let me just go into an alternate world to help me cope.
Exactly. And that there were, like, my background is all in interrelationships and community building and teaching and all of these things. And I had no background in tech. And so every new tech challenge in starting a business has just been almost comical. I started a travel business during the pandemic. So I had plenty of challenges.
Right.
But they have, I love what I'm doing. I'm very, very inspired by what I am doing, and
that helps.
It makes all the difference in the world, because I'm excited to get up and work almost every day. But I definitely, when I first started, I was doing a tremendous amount of articles for my site. I was trying to get a lot of valuable content up, and I hardly posted anything for about 1.5 years during the hardest
the hard times, right?
Mm-hmm. Because I just really needed to have my headspace somewhere else. So, yeah. As a matter of fact, I did my travel coaching certification once our child had their first surgery and they were really starting to recover. And one of the reasons that I did it, I'd known all along I wanted to be able to work one-on-one with people and serve people. It's really my natural place to be.
Right.
I love writing, but talking to people is really where I am most myself. But I wasn't quite sure how to do that. And so I signed up for that travel coaching certification in part to get back out in the world. I'm a pretty extroverted person. I love being in community and with other people, but when you go through those kinds of challenges, I'm sure anybody listening who's been through those kinds of things, your world gets very small, and it has to.
It does.
Have to just protect and move forward in that space. And mine had been so small that I remember the first meeting I had with my teacher in that program, I started talking about medical issues. I was just so in that space.
Right.
And
right.
So it's been extraordinary to move through all of that and be able to get my voice back out there about something that I know makes such a big difference in people's lives.
Yeah. So how do you get visibility, like for your brand? How are people finding out about you besides a podcast, for instance, like this?
Well, I love podcasts.
Yes.
In part because it's so fun to get to hear other people's passions, why they're doing their podcast. And also we get to talk about their travels and stuff. So I do podcasts. I participate in summits. I have found a lot of places where I can get published on other travel websites.
Okay.
I also use the program Haro that some of your listeners might be familiar with.
I have heard of it. Yes.
Okay. So it's called Help a Reporter Out. You can register either as a journalist yourself if you're publishing things, or as like an expert. And so, for example, then journalists post what their requests are.
Right.
And then you can submit quotes and solutions to whatever they're looking for. And I think the rate is like 1 out of every 10 or 15 or something that they will choose. And then they might quote you in a major publication. So I don't do it very often, but I did just send one in today because someone was looking for tips on frugal travel.
Oh, okay.
And I have so many tips about how you can visit sites and museums and national parks and state parks and all of that for cheap or free.
Okay.
And it's a topic very near and dear to my heart, is more people getting to go to those places. So I did take the time to submit that one. So that's a great way. I have also pitched articles to different publications. And so I'm happy to share tips on those kinds of things if you want.
Okay. So a lot of, it sounds like a lot of PR type things, like, articles, trying to get published with your tips and articles, like, and then the summits, like, do you just kind of like search for travel related summits that you can be a guest speaker on?
Different communities, the people who are doing similar types of things that I'm doing. So not necessarily, trying to sell people the most expensive travel package or something like that, but really helping people have more meaningful travel experiences and get to travel more, have more of a travel lifestyle. So I'm in a number of communities. And when some of those people are having summits, I have pitched to those.
Got it.
And then there are also some communities specific to folks who want to participate in summits. And I just think it's a great opportunity to get out there, share what I have to offer to other people, and also connect with other people who are doing meaningful work in a similar space or an adjacent space. Like some of them have been homeschool summits or summits related to parenting and things like that. And it's it's inspiring to see all of the different things that people
Yeah,
are doing.
it's fun. It's like one of the primary reasons I do my podcast is just to meet like all different kinds of people that are just out here doing such cool things in the
Agreed.
world.
100%. Yeah. I think the world is full of so much suffering and hardship, and it can be very easy to stay under the covers. And
yes,
the thing that for so many of us that inspires us to get up and do something is that we know we're just one drop in this big wave, right? You're doing your hard work, I'm doing my hard work,
right.
and together we can make a difference.
Yes.
The problems are so big, we can't do it on our own.
No.
But, and so it is inspiring to see
it is
how
like
hard people work.
Exactly. And it's just inspiring to surround yourself with positivity, people who are doing awesome things in the world, like seeing all of the amazing gifts that people are bringing to the world. Yeah, to me, I love it. I've heard so many stories so far with all of the podcast recordings that I've done, and it's a lot of fun.
I love it. Yeah. And I've been enjoying your podcast, and I really appreciate that you amplify those voices and that you give space to people being able to talk about what drives them. I mean, there's so many other pressures. What drives somebody to work so hard at their business? And time after time, it is, this making a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's kind of close the show asking what I always ask every single guest, and that is share with us what your mojo is, your magical superpower that you are bringing to this world that is making a difference in the people's lives that you are interacting with.
It's such a lovely question. Mine is definitely that I just love to help other people shine. I am so curious about other people, and I thrive in finding out what makes them excited, what makes them interested, what are they curious about, and then fanning that flame, helping them learn how to dig deeper into it and grow, and then watching what they can do with it. And oftentimes then they turn around and put it back into making the world a better place. So it's this amazing circle.
I love it. I love what you said, fanning the flame, because we all have a flame inside of us, right? And we need it fanned. Right?
Yeah. And it's nice to have people around us who can support us in that and help us grow.
Yeah.
So you're doing a terrific job with that.
Thank you. Thank you. It's something that I'm passionate about. I love doing. It lights me up. And it fans my flame, right? Just to, it really does to see what all the things that people are doing, and just to be surrounded by people that are focused on doing good in the world. So I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. We definitely need as much of that as we can get.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Erica, for being with us today. And I will definitely be visiting your website. I will put your website in the show notes so that people can connect on your social media channels. Just go check out what you do. Maybe even read some of the articles that you have on travel tips. I'm looking forward to.
Thanks, Lori. I really appreciate that.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a real pleasure to get to be here with you today.
Thank you. That's a wrap on today's episode. Thank you for tuning in to the On a Mission Mojo podcast. Ready to dive into more incredible stories of people on a mission? Next week, I'll return with a fresh episode to ignite your passion for creating a better world. If you loved what you heard, be sure to subscribe, leave a glowing review, and spread the word to all your friends. Head over to onamissionbrands.com for more great episodes. Remember, the world needs your mojo, so go out there and let your brilliance shine.